Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, family and friends. Got a double header for you this weekend. Normally I don't do two videos on the weekend, but it was just too much. I couldn't wait to do this one. All right, a couple of things I'm gonna talk about is DEI and the new segregation order that Trump signed. Okay, I'm gonna go into detail about that, but I know that caught your attention because if you haven't heard about the segregation, I'm going to tell you about it. But first, I've got a little backstory because I got to build up to it. Okay, first things first, I want to get a couple of other things out the way. It's like I posted the other day, Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, it is a lie. Okay, and I waited and waited. But Doge is supposed to have found all this fraud. Fraud is a crime, okay? And if they found all this fraud and found all this money, that means they found a crime. How come no one's been charged? That's because they're full of crap. Okay, there is no fraud. Words matter. Words mean something, and they like to twist words. Trust me, I'm going to bring this full circle. They like to twist words to try to fit a narrative, and that's not what it means. Just like the way they try to co-opt and change the definition of woke. What woke means to black people is something totally different than what it means to Republicans. So don't use the slang if you don't understand the meaning behind the slang, all right? Now, something I've been warning you guys about, all right? I've been warning you about this. MAGA, Republicans, whatever, they've been saying for years, that there's, corruption in the government, that it's a swamp. The government is bad. We need smaller government. Isn't it amazing that for as bad as they say the government is, they give pushback, or they don't want to believe it, or they don't want to agree when black people say the government is racist. It's all these things that are bad that affect them. But they don't want to hear it or believe it when it's something that affects us. Okay? Keep that in mind. All right? Trump isn't new. He's just the current face, and he's taken it to a level where even white people have to pay attention. They could ignore it. They could pretend like it didn't exist, but he's putting it so hard in their face, they have no choice. America has a history of rich white people telling poor white people that black and brown people are the problem. Native Americans are the problem. Negroes are the problem. Immigrants are the problem. Mexicans are the problem. And it wasn't until the last 150 years that all white people weren't even white. If you were Italian American, you were a WAP without papers. Remember that? Or Polish, they would call them Polacks. There were all kinds of derogatory terms for what we all consider white today. They weren't even white enough back then. And the reason why is because the rich people at the top, they see the demographics and they were like, ooh, if we don't include these people in our whiteness, we're going to be the minority, and we need to consolidate all this white power. And so we're going to bring them in, and we're going to tell these people, you know what? You might be Italian. You might be Polish. You might be Slavic. But at least you're not black or Mexican. See how that works? Okay? They've been doing this for years. Since the colonial days. They've been doing it's the same song and dance. All right? Now, all of this, I'm building up to show you the distractions. These are all distractions, okay? The right hand doesn't want to let the left hand know what it's doing, okay? Talking about Greenland, Greenland's going to be 51st state. Now it's going to be Canada. We're gonna take Canada. We're going to do this, that, and the other, okay? All this stuff, he's doing the same playbook out of Russia, because one of three things is going to happen. Two of them are very obvious. The third one, Okay, there's people that get paid more than me that should be able to figure this stuff out. Either number one, Trump is going to do all this crazy stuff he says, and he's going to become, America's going to become like a tyrant like Russia, and we're just going to invade, and we're going to take Canada, and we're going to take Greenland, and that's just going to be the end of it. We're just going to be the big bullies on the block. Number two, he's making all this crazy claims and all this crazy stuff up because he's doing a money grab. He's doing all these things, whether it's tariffs, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to show you the money grab in just a second. And he's planning on just taking the money and running. Okay? Remember I told you last year before he got elected that if he didn't get elected, he already has a spot over in the Baltic states where he has a resort thing that he's building with a golf course, and it doesn't have they don't have extradition treaties with America. Okay, so he's already got a place to run out to his own private little kingdom, and if he snatches as much money as he can, he'll be able to just be an oligarch over there and pay for whatever he wants. He'll never have to answer for his crimes. I mean, he's what, 80 years old. It's not like he's got 30 more years left anyway. You know what I'm saying? 10, 20, whatever. All right, so here's where the distraction comes for the money grab, okay? All the immigration stuff, you know how the farmers are all complaining, hey, we're losing all our workers. Oh, no, there's no more U.S. aid, so we're not getting any more welfare from the government to help us subsidize our farms. Oh, no, the sky's falling, we're going to close down, blah, blah, blah. The money grab comes when the big corporate farm chains, they say, hey, Mr. Joe Sixpack, your farm's not doing so well. You know what? Why don't we give you a buyout for that? You don't need to be in the family farm business any longer. We'll take that. We'll take your crumbling, non-money making farm. We'll take that off your hands for pennies on the dollar, and we're going to pat you on the head, pat you on the say, you know what, have a nice life, and we're just going to take that from you. Who do you think benefits from that? Well, if all the mom and pop farms go under, and it's only three or five big corporate farmers left, they benefit from that. There's no competition. They've eliminated all the local markets and all that stuff, and they can just set whatever prices they want. That's how it works. How many big oil companies are there? There's only what, three or five, something like that. Same thing. All right. So the DEI, and the reason this came up as a big deal is because it was either Friday or yesterday, I've been getting messages for this, is on the Department of Defense, that's the military website, they tried to remove the information for Jackie Robinson. For those of you that are not sports fanatics or know any black history, Jackie Robinson was the first Negro player in baseball, because baseball was segregated. There was the Negro League, and then there was the white league. Jackie Robinson was the first Negro player. He's the guy that they credit with breaking the color barrier in sports. Okay? Now, the reason that some overzealous Trump supporter removed Jackie Robinson from the Department of Defense is because they try to erase black history, but because he was listed as what I just said. And that, to them, was considered DEI. Okay. Now, here's a secret for you. Remember earlier I told you they try to co-opt words and they try to change the meaning of words? Jackie Robinson was DEI. As a matter of fact, he is the very freaking definition of DEI, because he was a Negro that never would have gotten a chance to play in the white league. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. So he was given a chance to be the first African-American Negro to play in the white league. And guess what? Lo and freaking behold, he was the best damn player on the field every time he stepped on the field. Oh, snap. So you can call him DEI. He is the exact reason that DEI exists, so that black people have a chance to get their foot in the door and show that we can be every bit as good as our counterparts. So yes, Jackie Robinson was DEI. Proudly DEI. I wouldn't give two flying flips if somebody told me I was DEI, because I make six figures. I make more than most of the people that I work with that are not black. Okay? You call me DEI if you want. But once I got in there, I showed you who's big dog is. All right? Now, again, distractions. Distractions, because they put Jackie Robinson's information back on the website. Okay, this was talked about on SportsCenter. This was talked about on Meet the Press this morning. It was a big deal because the MAGA folks are trying to change the definition of DEI. For MAGA, DEI means anything that is black, brown, female, handicap, LGB, the alphabet gang. Anything that is not white male. Anything other than that is DEI to MAGA, okay? So don't be offended. You know, black and brown people, don't be offended. Don't crash out. Don't go marching in the streets, because if you do, that'll give Trump an opportunity to say, oh, look at this. We've got civil unrest, so it's time for me to claim martial law. He's already trying to use some sort of, I don't want to say martial law, some sort of military wartime powers to eject immigrants from the country. It's only a small step for him to say, oh, we've got to put these Negroes down. I need the National Guard from these states to go and quell this riot. Don't crash out. Don't let them do it. This is the time. All black and brown bodies have been on the front line fighting this since the civil rights. It's time, you know, and I don't know if they'll do it, but it's time for our brothers and sisters that are non-melanated, the white folks. It's y'all's turn. We've been doing it long enough, and we've been doing it alone for the most part. All the Mexicans that were, you know, Mexicans for Trump, and now you're getting deported. Your family is getting deported. We told you. You didn't want to hear us because you thought that you could buddy up and be Tejano and be closer to white people, and they would accept you. They're never going to accept you. They're never going to accept you. Middle East, they're never going to accept you. Colombians, they're never going to accept you. As hard of a pill it is to swallow, you poor, you non-rich white people in America, they don't accept you either. They're using you for your vote, and as soon as they don't need it, they're going to drop you like a hot potato. You don't have to believe me, but you go ask them farmers how they're doing. Go ask all them coal miners that they were trying to, you don't even hear them talking about coal miners anymore, but they were 8 years ago, 12 years ago. That's all they were on the East Coast. Hey, you coal miners, you need to vote Republican. You don't even hear them talking about them anymore because they don't need them anymore. They don't need their votes. The farmers, this is the last time that they care about farmers voting. Because Trump, this is either his last term and he's going to take the money and run, or he's going to turn around and try to be the king of America and alienate us from all of our allies and totally gut our government so that we can't defend ourselves against a tyrant takeover, or he's going to leave us butt booty naked so that Russia can come over and take over. I mean, those are the two things I see. There might be a third option, but I don't get paid enough to think that far ahead. Somebody else can do that. But those are the two things I see happening. He's going to take the money and run, or he's going to leave us so butt booty naked and open for Russia or one of his buddies to take over. I don't know. Anyway, that's the double header for today. I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, like I said, Doge is a lie. Whatever money they're telling you they're saving, how come there's been no charges? If it's fraud, if it's really fraud, where are the charges? Because fraud is a crime. You don't see any. You don't hear any. Think about that. Keep that stuff in mind. Don't let them fool you when they start changing the definition of words. Don't let them change the definition of DEI like they try to do with woke and like they try to do with everything else. Anyway, thank you guys. And don't forget, if you get a chance, go to my website, go to my YouTube page, put a like on there, comment. And of course, keep sending me, most of y'all have my number. Keep sending me information. Keep sending me comments if you don't want to do it. If you don't want to be public and do it on Facebook or do it on my YouTube, send it to me directly and I'll make sure and do a video or mention something about it in my next video. Thank you and have a good weekend.